Hey everyone, it's Jack here, TalkNorwichCity, back for another video. I'm really excited about today's video. I'm doing my predictions from 24th up to 1st in the Championship. The Championship season kicks off in just a few days' time. I've done loads and loads of research with the help of this, the Bible, the big kickoff, Not the Top 20 podcast, and also Gabriel Sutton. Their research has really helped me try and formulate a table in what is a really chaotic division. I'll link all of them guys down in the description below. But without further ado, let's get straight into this Championship prediction video. And also, let's set a like target for today. Let's try and hit 500 likes. I'll be over the moon if we can do that. Let's get straight into it. Okay, so the Championship season is nearly upon us, and sadly in 24th place I'm going with Sheffield Wednesday. Of course, they start this season 12 points adrift at the bottom of the table due to breaking some financial rules last season. So it's minus 12 from the off this time around, which basically means they probably need to pick up somewhere in the region of 60 points this season. Gary Monk took 47 points from 40 games in charge, with just 4 wins in 24 at the tail end of last season. It's been a slow decline for Sheffield Wednesday since the season of 2016-17, and for me, with that points deduction, this could be the season in which they finally go down. In 23rd place, I'm going for Wycombe Wanderers. An absolute miracle for them to get from League One into the Championship. It really was unbelievable how they did it. Gareth Ainsworth is a brilliant manager. Of course, Akinfenwa leading the line. We all know what he's about. It was dubious in the manner in which they got to the Championship. Points per game really did help them, but of course they had to go throughout the season. They won a lot of games and were one of the standout teams for the majority of that. So they are here on merit. However, again, they go into the Championship season with a small squad, a very limited budget, and I'm looking at the quality that the Championship possesses, and I think it might just be one step too far for Wycombe. Wycombe go 23rd for me. In 22nd place, and it's actually the team in which we play on the first game of the season, I'm going for Huddersfield Town. Yes, their 2-season stint in the Premier League seems like a distant memory, doesn't it? And I think they're in for a really tough season. The Cowley brothers did fantastically well to turn things around there. They steered them to safety, and I think the appointment of Carlos Corberán, who was Marcelo Bielsa's assistant manager, was to try and take them forward. Instead, I think it's going to take them backwards. The Cowleys, with a fairly limited squad, were able to eke out results, and I just don't see Carlos Corberán being able to do that. We've got an opposition preview coming later in the week with Matt Wilson, who's a Huddersfield fan, and he said that club is in a real mess. Like I said with Wycombe, there's some strong sides down near the bottom of the table of the Championship this season, and I don't think Huddersfield possess the quality in which they need to survive. They go 22nd. Surviving by the skin of their teeth in my season prediction is Rotherham. I have a real soft spot for Rotherham. I really like the club. I love Paul Warne, and every time I've been up there from away day, I've had a really cracking time. In terms of the last few seasons, they also kind of look in a similar manner to Norwich in terms of lots of promotions and lots of relegations. They always seem to get to the Championship. Bit too good for League One, not quite good enough for the Championship. But I think this time round, because of Sheffield Wednesday's point deduction, they might not be as bad as the 3 teams that I've put below them. I think it's going to be really tricky, and they've let go of their goalkeeper, so the introduction of Jamal Blackman is going to be massively important for them. But I think Paul Warne will get every last drop of potential out of his squad. They're incredibly tight-knit. We've done a TNC podcast with Paul Warne. If you want to listen to that, head over to our Spotify account or iTunes, wherever you listen to them, and have a listen. He's an incredible man, a really good man manager, and I think Rotherham have just about enough this season to stay in the division. Coventry go in 20th place for me. Yeah, a club with really rich history, and they're back into the second tier of English football after a few seasons away. Back-to-back promotions for them, led by Mark Robbins, who played some fantastic football throughout the League One campaign last season. They'll be operating with one of the tighter budgets in the Championship this season, but I don't think that is enough for me to put them in the relegation zone. If they play in this manner in which they played last season, with the fluidity and the tempo in which they played, I think they'll just about have enough. They've made some shrewd business already in this transfer window, and I'm sure there'll be a few more incomings as well. Coventry in 20th. Now, this club only just survived in the Championship last season. I think it's going to be a little bit more calm for them this time around. Luton Town occupy 19th place in my Championship prediction video. Nathan Jones left fans very unhappy at Kenilworth Road when he left for Stoke in 2018, but his return pretty much saved them from going down into League One. We played them in the Carabao Cup, so we know what they're all about. They've got a player in James Collins who will score goals. They haven't splashed too much cash since their promotion back to the Championship, other than their goalkeeper Simon Schluger, who is a fairly good operator in between the sticks. I think Luton have the experience now of the Championship. I think they've got the players in which to deliver, and I think Nathan Jones is a really, really top manager. It didn't work out for him at Stoke, but his fit with Luton is just a match made in heaven. I think they'll be fine. I think they'll finish in 19th place. One place above Luton in 18th is QPR. From 18th up until about 6th is really, really difficult to tell. I've put QPR down near the, further down near the bottom of the table just because of the sale of Eze. He was a marvellous player and guaranteed QPR goals. I don't think they'll be short of goals this season. They've spent a bit of money up top. I think it's the defensive line that's going to impact them this season. They shipped a lot of goals last season. They've lost Grant Hall to Borough, which is going to be a big loss, and I think they'll continue to leak goals in the Championship this season. I think Mark Warburton's a very good manager. I don't think they're going to be going down, but I don't think they're going to be hitting the heady heights that they maybe want to. It was a big loss in Eze. Will they reinvest it? Who knows? We know that they've had financial issues in the past. It might just simply be, topping up the balance sheet. But QPR, they'll be fine, but they'll be 18th. Birmingham. Yes, Birmingham in 17th place. I don't really know what to make of Birmingham, to be honest. The sale of Jude Bellingham for £20 million will surely help their finances, which haven't been in the best place over the last few seasons. And they've got a new manager in Aitor Karanka. He's a fairly shrewd Championship operator. I don't think they're going to be the most exciting team to watch this season, but you don't have to be the most exciting Championship team to excel in this division. I don't think they will excel, but they've got enough in there, I think. They've lost Bellingham, they've lost Scott Hogan, who got them a few goals last season, which isn't ideal, but with Karanka at the helm, I think they'll be just fine. 17th. Now, a club I'm really looking forward to watching next season is Barnsley, mainly because of the way in which they play football and their manager, Gerard Struber. I love this man. He's done a marvellous job at Barnsley and loved in them parts. They did marvellously well to stay in the league on the final day of the season, scoring a very, very late goal. They are lucky to be in the Championship, but I think they can really kick on this season under Struber. They've got that season of Championship know-how under their belts now, and I think they'll kick on a little bit. I don't think they'll be in a relegation scrap this year, hence why I've put them in 16th place. Go well, Barnsley. Much like Birmingham, I'm never quite sure what to make of Reading. Mark Bowen was brought in last season to basically keep them up. He did exactly that. He's now been changed for Velko Paunovic, who I must admit, I don't know much about. They're coming off the back of 3 successive seasons in which they finished lower than the previous season, and they relied heavily on loan players last season, some of which might not be returning this time around. I can't see too much changing from what was a fairly average campaign last time out, and that's why I put them in 15th, although I could possibly see them finishing lower. Reading for me in 15th. Middlesbrough, this is going to be a fascinating season for them. Neil Warnock, of course, in charge. They're 71 years of age. It's unbelievable how he's still going. But he knows how to, get good things out of teams in the Championship. I just think this is a bit of a mismatch. He was brought in with the sole reason of keeping them up. There was a genuine point last season where it looked like Middlesbrough might be getting relegated into League One. And for a club of that size, with a wage bill that they have mainly inherited from, previous seasons. Of course, they were in the Premier League not so long back. That couldn't have happened. Neil Warnock was brought in. He picked up 12 points in 8 games. That was enough to keep them in the division, but I can't see Middlesbrough really kicking on under Warnock. It was very different, that squad he had at Cardiff, where he took them into the Premier League, of course. But I don't see that happening with Middlesbrough. I think they'll be safe. I think a mid-table finish for them won't be the worst thing in the world. I think they just need to regroup a little bit, get some fresh players in there. I don't know if Neil Warnock will see out the season either. It'll be an interesting season for Middlesbrough. They've got the potential to really kind of go well in this division. I just can't see it happening. Blackburn into 13th place. There are a lot of shrewd pundits in the big kickoff this season, putting Blackburn up as their each-way playoff bet this season. I can see why. They've got a good squad. They've got a very good squad, and they've been at this level for a few years now, so they know what it's all about. Tony Mowbray is very well loved up at Blackburn, and there's a reason why. He's done very well there. Can he get this team into the playoffs, though? There was a point last season in which I thought they would do. I just don't know if they can do it this time around. They finished 7 points off the playoffs last season, so not a huge gap to make up. But in terms of expected goals and stats like that, they were very much overachieving. I think a 13th place finish for Blackburn, again, wouldn't be the end of the world. Like Middlesbrough, have the potential to kick on. I just don't think they will. Blackburn in 13th. Now for me, this one was a really tough one. Bristol City. I always like Bristol City. I think they're a very good footballing side, and at points last season they played some really nice stuff. But the appointment of Dean Holden over Chris Hughton seemed a strange one for me. I think they had the opportunity to make Chris Hughton their manager. They chose not to, and I don't really know too much about Dean Holden, so it's tough to judge from a managerial perspective. They've got a very good forward line though. Andy Vyman, Jeju and Naki Wells will definitely score them goals, but I don't think they've got the quality nor the depth throughout the squad to go the distance and make a challenge. There's some really good sides in the Championship this season, and I don't see Bristol City as being one of the upper echelon of those. Bristol City, probably a mid-table finish. Is it the end of the world? I don't know. Millwall. This is going to be a really big season for them. They were so close to finishing in the playoffs last season. Gary Rowett took 54 points from 35 games in charge. They've got a really good defensive line. They've got Bielakowski, of course, formerly of Ipswich Town, one of the better goalkeepers in the Championship. Sean Hutchinson, Alex Pearce and Jake Cooper at the back. Very tall defence. We know how Millwall are going to play. It's an intimidating place to go. Without the fans, it might be slightly different. They might not have that home advantage this time around. But I think Millwall are going to be a tough side to beat this season. And the loan signing of Troy Parrott will be a fascinating one. Tottenham fans love him. He's an excellent player on Football Manager if you want to go off of that. And if he can score 10, 15 goals, maybe even 20, they've got a really good chance this season. I've seen a lot of people predicting Millwall in the playoffs. I don't think they've got the quality throughout the squad to get into the playoffs, but I think they'll be knocking on the door. An 11th place finish, although I think maybe could go higher. Swansea in 10th for me. Now, Ali Maxwell of the Not the Top 20 podcast, he is convinced that Swansea will be getting into the playoffs this season. I really like Ali, and I think his opinion is always bang on. I just don't quite see what he's seeing in this Swansea side. They played really nice last season, got into the playoffs, but it was Ryan Brewster that really kicked them on. Some wonderful goals. He was a marvellous acquisition for them. Steve Cooper, of course, the manager. It's a nice style of football. I think they will be a good footballing side this season. I think they will do well in the Championship. I think the playoffs might be too much of an ask for them. 10th for me. Keep saying another really tough one to judge, but again, for me, Derby County are another really tough one to judge. They've just sold their fullbacks, which isn't going to help. And in a financial point of view, they're not in the prettiest place in terms of where they've been in previous seasons. They're always there or thereabouts, Derby. They've put a lot of money into the side over the last few seasons, but they just can never quite get over the finishing line. Mel Morris has said he won't be spending too much more cash, and he wants his squad to be made up of academy graduates this season. Philip Koku needs results, and I think we'll get them. They've got some fantastic players throughout that squad. Are they strong enough for a top 6 finish? I don't think so. In terms of consistency, you'll be doing very well to find a team better than Preston North End. Of course, Alex Neil's still there and still doing a very good job. I think Alex Neil is a fantastic manager. I really respected the work he did at Norwich City. And I think this season, his target will be to get Preston into the playoffs. They've got some good players. Scott Sinclair, Louis Moult, Jayden Stockley, Daniel Johnson. They are players that will do well in the Championship. There's no doubt about that. I've put them in 8th. I think they could be higher. Again, like I've said about Derby, Swansea, Millwall, Bristol City, I think they will all be there or thereabouts. I just think there's teams in this division with a bit more quality throughout the side. We've seen the fixture list. It's a very condensed season this time around. Will Preston have the depth to go the distance? I'm not so sure. 7th place, just outside of the playoffs, and the first newly relegated side to make this list so far, and it's Bournemouth. I think out of Watford, Norwich and Bournemouth, Bournemouth will be the team that finished the lowest out of all 3. I think they will be there or thereabouts this season. Eddie Howe took them into the Premier League. It was a fantastic journey. He did really good things with Bournemouth. But let's not kid ourselves. They did also have the investment in which to really kick on. Last season was obviously a step too far. It didn't quite work out. Jason Tyndall has been appointed and promoted internally, which is an interesting one. That could go either way. They've lost some key players in Callum Wilson and Nathan Ake. That's not the end of the world for them. They will be able to recruit. Although I did see they were going for Caden Jackson from Ipswich. So if that's the level of signing they're looking to make, they may be in trouble. But I think Bournemouth will have enough depth and quality throughout the squad. I think there are better squads in the Championship than Bournemouth this season. I think they've got a fighting chance of the playoffs, but for me, might fall just short. Now, into the playoffs and the automatic spot. I would be delighted to hear what you guys think of my predictions. Do you agree? Do you disagree? This is going to be a really competitive Championship season. I cannot wait. In 6th place, I'm going for Cardiff. Neil Harris has worked wonders at both Millwall and Cardiff. He's taken Cardiff into the playoffs last season brilliantly to do that. He's got a real good mix of Championship experience and flair. Sean Morrison and Curtis Nelson at the back, Josh Murphy and Mendes Lang going forwards. That's a really frightening partnership going forward. So I think Cardiff will again be right up there. They've got the experience, as I said, they've got the flair. There's goal scorers in that side. And I just look at them compared to other sides and I think they'll be able to grind teams down. I think Cardiff's going to be one of them games that, you know, we look at this season as Norwich fans and go, oh, that's going to be a really tricky one. And I think for that reason alone, that's going to be enough to get them over the line into the playoffs. We'll see. But I think Cardiff have got a good chance this season. Now, so you might be surprised to see this team as high up in my predictions, but I think it could be the season in which it clicks for Stoke. Michael O'Neill turned things around brilliantly. They thought Nathan Jones was the man to do that. It wasn't. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with Stoke this season. They've underachieved, it's obvious, since their relegation. I think they had a bit of a relegation hangover. They had players there that didn't necessarily want to be playing Championship football, very much like Norwich had when we first came down. A really bloated side, big wage bills, big money signings that just simply weren't cut out for Championship football. I think the squad's changed, the manager's changed. I think Stoke will have quality. I think they've got depth this season, which is so important. I've mentioned it throughout this video. You need a big squad because it's a condensed season with loads and loads of football. Stoke, for me, will be in the playoffs. How Nottingham Forest missed out on playoff football last season is beyond me. They completely threw it away, and I don't think they'll be throwing it away this time round. They've got a really good manager. That strike force of Lewis Graven and Lyle Taylor, for me, is one of my favourite Championship partnerships. I think there's absolute bags of goals there. They will score goals this season, that's for sure. They've got quality. I don't think they'll be wanting to make the same mistakes as they did last season, and for that reason, I think they'll get into the playoffs. And just looking at their squad, it's better than the vast majority of sides in the Championship this season. My good friend David Metcalf will be very happy to hear that. So David, that one's for you. And also, I love an away day at Nottingham Forest. So I'm hoping there'll be some real humdingers this season down there. Bring it on. 3 sides left, and you know which sides they are. Brentford, Watford and Norwich. Where will they go? Well, in 3rd place, occupying the final playoff position, for me, is Brentford. They've just sold Ollie Watkins to Aston Villa for a massive, massive fee. They have done so well to get over £30 million for Ollie Watkins. Bravo to Brentford. Again, I think they'll be up there this season. They are always there or thereabouts. I feel like I've said that so many times throughout this video, but they play really attractive football. They score goals and they're solid at the back. Whatever you think of Pontus Jansson, he's a good defender. Ethan Pinnock next to him is really good. And Rico Henry thrown in there as well is just added quality in that defensive line. Josh Da Silva and Bueno are very exciting. They will lose some of their best players, but they have done before and they've still kicked on. You only have to look when they sold Neil Maupay. They replaced him with goals. They'll do the same. Their recruitment is spot on. It is a very well-run club. However, I just look at the two sides above them in Watford and Norwich and think, I don't think they've got the depth to go the distance. Brentford are in for a good season, I know that much. Where they'll finish, I think third. There's a fighting opportunity for them to get into the automatics though. This is what you've all been waiting for, the automatic spots in my championship prediction video. Watford or Norwich? Watford or Norwich. For me, in second place, it doesn't really matter. If you're going up automatically, of course you want to win the title, but you're going up automatically. That's all that matters. In second for me is Watford. Yeah, I'm putting Watford in there. Out of all of the three teams to come down, at this current moment in time, I think they probably do possess the most amount of quality. Certainly the most valuable squad to come down. The owners are willing to invest. They've got a new manager in Vladimir Ivic who has done really good things with Maccabi Tel Aviv. Took them from a team not winning the title to absolutely smashing it. So that's good. The signing of Glenn Murray could prove to be inspired. I know he's old, but he knows how to score goals, and that's so important at this level. You only have to look at us when we signed Jordan Rhodes. He might not get many, but having that experience around the club is really important. They've still got a big squad. They've got money to throw at this. I think Watford will be right up there this season, and for me will be Norwich's biggest competitor in terms of being at the top of the table. I think Watford will go up automatically. Where they'll finish, I'm not so sure. I've put them as second. It could be anywhere, first or second. I think they'll be top six for sure. Watford are second for me. Let me know, Watford fans. Now, of course, that means Norwich City are first in my championship prediction video. I know, how predictable. A Norwich City fan putting us is first in the table. But please do stick with me, neutral fans and fans of other clubs. I'm not usually this optimistic, but I think Norwich are in for a really good season. They've signed well, and it was the preparation going in to the championship season that fills me with hope and pride, kind of. Stuart Webber almost knew that we were getting relegated from the off. Maybe he didn't know it, but he was preparing for the worst. And that now means that we're financially secure. We've made 11 signings, all of which will probably be in and around the first team. Ben Gibson is a brilliant addition. Jordan Hugo, I'm sure, will get some goals. Ollie Skip is a fantastic loan deal, along with Sorensen. We've got Kieran Dowell in behind the striker. And I know that the transfer window hasn't finished, and we have let Jamal Lewis go for decent money, I may add. We still have Emi Buendia, Ben Godfrey, Max Aarons and Todd Cantwell. The four big guns are still here. I'm sure one or two of them may go, but I don't think they'll all be leaving. And I think a lot of Norwich fans thought that they would be at the start of the transfer window. With that being said, as I've said throughout this video, and I may be wrong, you need a big squad in the Championship this season. Farker has been there, he's seen it, he's done it. He's already won the Championship. He'll be looking to do that again. It's the first season in which Norwich, under this regime, has had expectation. The squad is there for Daniel Farke. They just need to deliver for him. Stuart Webber, his job is about getting Norwich back into the Premier League. He will be desperate for this, and so will some of the players. One of the big reasons why some of the recruitment didn't work in the Premier League is because we swayed away from what we were used to, signing players that were young, hungry, had something to prove. Duda, Dermich weren't them players. I look at Dowell, I look at Mumba, I look at Sorensen, I look at Skip as players with something to prove. That's so crucial. Norwich, for me, should and could be winning the Championship this season. With that squad, they should be expecting to get in top two. There are no excuses for them this season. They have to hit the ground running quickly, and I think they will. I'm nervous. Well, there we have it. There is my completed championship prediction table. Let me know what you think. If you've watched all the way through, thank you so much. I'm desperately looking forward to this season. I hope you are too. Let's try and hit 500 likes. Thank you to all of our new sponsors, all of which you can see on screen at the start and the end of these videos. Without them, it wouldn't be possible. Without your support on Ko-fi, it wouldn't be possible. I'm really excited for the content we're going to be producing on Talk Norwich City this season. Almost daily uploads here. If you're new to the channel, please do click subscribe for that aforementioned daily Norwich City content. I hope you've enjoyed, and I'll see you again very soon. Bye-bye.